All right, everybody. Brohood Productions is back. We want to let you know that this week we get to go check out the Blue Beetle. And that's the main reason why we're making this video, but we'll get to that in a second. We wanted to let you know that we won't give you an exact date because when you give an exact date, you tend to change plans. But at the end of this month, we are going to give you a really great update with our Batman Beyond story concept. And since we're getting ahead of ourselves, we're going to announce 4 other story concepts that we're working on. But enough about that. This week we get to watch Blue Beetle. And JP and I figured, since we're watching another superhero movie, why not talk about, without putting you guys to sleep, our favorite superhero movies. Now, not superhero and comic book movies, just strictly superheroes. So as an example, I consider Red with Bruce Willis a comic book movie. So that type of movie is not going to be considered in this conversation. JP and I are going to give each of our top 5s. We're going to go from 5 all the way to number 1, and we're going to briefly talk about them. This is how would you say it? We're reading these lists to each other for the first time. Even though we're brothers, we're thinking we're going to surprise each other. So we're going to have some honorable mentions. I cheated because the 5 honorable mentions that I have were only supposed to be 2, which would make my list a top 5. Top 10, I should say. And then JP will give his honorable mentions, and then we'll begin. So my honorable mentions in no particular order are Zack Snyder's Justice League, Spider-Man No Way Home, The Batman with Pattinson, Avengers Infinity War, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Those are my honorable mentions. There's more. There's so much more, but we're going to keep it concise.
A lot of those are my honorable mentions too. Some of them I didn't write them down, but especially Amazing Spider-Man 2. You said some other ones. We probably should have written these down. There's just so many.
It's hard because I haven't even listed any. We'll get to it. We'll see if we can guess each other's. But I'm disappointed that I didn't put one particular character on any of my lists. So, do you want to start off with your number 5?
No, let me read my honorable mentions.
Oh, you have some. You have some. I thought you said those were it.
No, there's some of those.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Were also part of mine. But I just want to tell the audience, like, if you're like us, there's just countless good superhero movies. But one of them for me is Planet Hulk, All-Star Superman, the Deadpools 1 and 2, the Dark Knight, from Batman Begins to The Dark Knight Rises, Captain America Winter Soldier, The Incredible Hulk with Edward Norton. Sorry, Eric Bana, but yours was okay. Across the Spider-Verse, and the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man.
This is a longer honorable mention.
I know, there's just so many. I was like, what did you choose
that's
from?
The character I was referring to, and this might make you sad and make people sad, but I guess Captain America doesn't even make my top 10.
It's okay. So I have 5, and this was very difficult. Alma literally gave me like 15 minutes. I think honestly, this probably doesn't need more than 30 minutes. I would say, like, if you're doing it on your own, like, take 30 minutes, write down all the movies, and then like filter, But for me, in my top 5,
Just do your number 5. Just do your number 5.
Okay. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Ooh, Spider-Man No Way Home is number 5.
I mean, okay, guys. Number 1, I never liked. And everyone's gonna get mad at this. I don't care though. Tom Holland wasn't the greatest Spider-Man. only time when I felt he was Spider-Man, when he's got his own apartment and he turned on at the end of the movie, really. He turned on the police scanner and put on the new suit. That was pretty legit. I felt like, well, we're actually gonna get real Spider-Man. Like it's gonna feel like not just a high school, junior high little kids Spider-Man. Sorry, had to get that off of my chest.
Good, but it's
But
so confusing how it would be your number 5.
I mean, you gotta admit, seeing Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield in the big screen, and all those Spider-Mans just coming together, work together. I mean, just seeing Tobey Maguire number one, like I just feel like we didn't get a good closing chapter with Tobey Maguire, and I've heard the rumors they might be making Spider-Man 4. So, I don't know, I didn't react to that when I sent it to him that,
It was because I already
but
saw it.
that's
I
okay.
already heard,
You already saw it, okay. So I think it just truly captures who Spider-Man really is, just like there has to be a way where everyone just comes out winning. It just we're not gonna go into the movie, but if you've seen it, I mean, it's just phenomenal, I think.
But good take. It did land my top 10, just not my
Hmm.
number 5. I feel the same way about Toby, and I feel the same way about Andrew because Andrew's probably my Spider-Man, but I love Tom Holland more than JP does. All right, my number 5. This maybe will come as a surprise to people that don't get a hint. JP might be a little surprised, but my number 5 is the 1978 Superman.
No surprise. I feel it.
There's not
He should
much.
have been in my honorable mentions.
um, Christopher Reeve, may he rest in peace. I know he's not like Muhammad or anything, but he's important. Um, he made you believe that a man could fly, and he was our first Superman, besides the animated Superman TV show that we loved. The movie was kind of, and I agree with a lot of filmmakers, it was kind of the foundation for the type of comic book slash superhero movies we get today. That movie, so okay, this might sound stupid, but if you've made it on my top 5, you've probably made me cry in your movie, and the 1978 Superman makes me cry. I get very nostalgic. I think it's a really well written story. I'm not a big fan of clunky Clark, but Christopher Reeve both pulled off Clark Kent and he pulled off Superman. It's a long movie, but you needed it because it takes you through his origin. It takes you to him being Superman and what Superman means. The John Williams Superman theme. Like there's this part, and every time I watch it, there's this kid who's narrating at the beginning, and it doesn't seem at all any Superman related, and then they go past the Daily Planet, and then you hear the dun, 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 dun.
Dun, 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 dun.
You know, and it's great. So my number 5, I'm basically saying dumb things, but my number 5 is the 1978 Superman with Christopher Reeves. I can never say the last name,
I love it. I love it.
even though I should know how to say his name.
So I have a feeling that this is going to be a surprise for Alma. But number 4 for me, Iron Man.
Oh yeah, that is surprising.
It was the start. So a couple of things why I like this movie, because over the years, the more I research about the movie, the more I love it. I remember, I have faint memories watching it in theaters.
May
I
3rd.
just, huh? Um, So I'm gonna find this surprising, but I feel like sometimes I have this connection with Iron Man because just like building things, putting things together, um, making a suit, like just that part of Iron Man and Tony. And nowadays, him building Stark Industries and like all that. Also finding out that John Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. they both came from like their past couple movies were like just didn't do so well, and then they were really hungry to make something fantastic, and Kevin Feige just took a chance. And I don't know, when you watch the movie, it just feels like it feels real. Like it's one of the few. I feel like eventually the Marvel movies just became, a lot of fantasy, but still I love it. But um, and I'll just mention this real quick. But when he comes back from um from being, in the desert and stuff, he's like he wants a hamburger, an American hamburger, and I can feel that. I know how that feels. Um, but when you watch the movie, like and we all know Tony Stark's character, but to him to grow into a superhero, like his villain wasn't like crazy or anything. That's why it's so grounded. The movie's grounded. You see Tony take things into his hands. I just love that. It's a very grounded, relatable, believable superhero. Um, and just it's like it's the first of its kind. Like you just watching it, like you're just like, wow, this like the flow of the movie, the way John Favreau like aligned every scene all to the end, and you know, yeah, that's all I gotta say. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah. It is surprising. I would not imagine that Iron Man was on your top five list, but I can really see that. That was a very needed movie, and without it, we wouldn't have what we consider the best of the best
Yeah.
MCU.
Hmm.
So this may come as to a surprise, not to JP, but maybe to you all, because at first I wouldn't give this movie a high rating, but I thought about it a lot, and I think number four for me is Across the Spider Verse.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, that was in my honorable mentions. I was trying to decide between Spider-Man No Way Home and Across the Spider-Verse. Oh, it was so hard. It's so hard.
um, I don't think I need to say anything to all of you who believe Into the Spider Verse is better. I can see where you're coming from. To those who don't like sequels, you must have not seen this sequel. And for everyone trying to understand Spider-Man, and you all know how I feel about OG Peter Parker Spider-Man, Marvel's Spider-Man, comic book Spider-Man, uh, Miles Morales is Spider-Man. So um, this movie had heart. This movie had purpose. This movie shows the weight of being Spider-Man. And Miles Morales gets it in this movie. So besides it being visually stunning, great animation. Animation movies do count in our lists, by the way. It was very, very well done. You want to get to know Spider-Man, you watch Across the Spider-Verse.
Hmm. Yes.
I'll keep it simple today. Moderation.
So my number three, probably no surprise to Alma and anyone else. Avengers Endgame.
Ooh. I leave that one alone for now because that's your number three.
Yeah,
So we have the same movie in our top five, but not in the same place.
not in the same
We
list.
should go back to that one.
I should go back to that one.
We should go
Okay,
back to that one.
number two. This might be a surprise to Rama. Maybe not. He might understand where I'm coming from. Batman Under the Red Hood. Oh my gosh. I want this to be a live action. This Batman live action. 2 billion. 2 billion. Do that thing, bro, where you smell money?
That smells like $1 billion.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, I remember watching this for the first time, and I was like, it's such a good movie. So number one, the villain isn't necessarily Joker, but like we kind of dive in more how horrid of a person he is. And I mean he's senseless. We can talk about Heath Ledger's Joker and Joker from the animated series and stuff, and it just starts out so good. And Batman's doing on his motorcycle racing to save Jason Todd, and it's just insane. And the conversation, the plot, the emotional depth of relationships of father son, you know, I, some of these characters, I'm like, I like the little being a little edgy, it kind of goes with our project, the Mantle Batman, because Jason says some pretty powerful words to Bruce, and Bruce has to remind him what it means, what Batman does, And I mean, Red Hood is just a phenomenal character. I think that storyline beats Arkham Knight. I'm sorry, bro. That storyline, and every other rendition that we've seen. I mean, just how that movie I mean, it's short, but it's good the way it just progresses and stuff. So that's my number two.
I was hoping that something Batman related would make it on your top five list. I couldn't think about it. I couldn't figure it out. I was like, that movie didn't come to mind. So that's good that you did bring it up because that is an amazing movie. I'm sad that it wasn't even in my top five honorable mentions. It's such a good movie. If you've not seen Batman Under the Red Hood, you need to watch it. I can quote stuff right now that you'd probably get tired of me quoting. Where's the detective now? He's on his way. But, sir, he won't make it in time. You can't stop crime. That's what you never understood.
Out of all people.
What? Is he still alive?
Oh man.
Decide. You or me. Decide.
Black Mask was also in that movie. Someone has to bring him.
Yeah.
I think he's just better than Falcone and Maroni. It's a whole nother level of gangster.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a good one. That's a great number two. That's a great number two. So my number three, and I'll say my number two as well. My number three, I guess JP and I were kind of thinking like the same thread, because as you can tell who JP's favorite comic book character of all time is, you can tell who my favorite favorite superhero of all time. And that is Superman, and my number three is All-Star Superman. It's based off of the great comic book with Grant Morrison and a lot of different artists. Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely, Jamie Grant. It's based off the comic book, but there was an animated movie, and it's my number three. Basically, everything JP said about Batman Under the Red Hood is what I would say for All-Star Superman, but for Superman.
I really wanted to be that movie on my list, but it was so hard because I'm gonna rewatch it again. It's so good.
All-Star Superman is an embodiment of Superman, just like the 1978 Superman. It tells the story of the Man of Steel the right way. I know that James Gunn is pulling from it as ideas, but if the DCU works out, which I'm hoping it works out, and hopefully we get to be a part of it, I hope maybe that they end with All-Star Superman. JP and I, as teenagers, we always talked about that if people were to make a Superman trilogy, you would end with All-Star Superman.
All-Star Superman.
I'll end with Lois's line at the end of the movie where everybody thinks that Superman's gone, but she says he isn't gone. He's up there fixing the sun. And then you see the powerful image, man.
Oh, chills.
Too good of chills. My number 2. I'm very disappointed in JP. Honorable mention.
Come on.
Number 2, and I don't care what anyone says, is The Dark Knight.
Yes.
The Dark Knight.
It was in my honorable mentions.
It's in your honorable mentions, but it's not in your top 5.
It was so hard. Just me. Under the Red Hood beat it.
The Dark Knight, even though it is not your traditional or even new detective style Batman, which is my favorite style of Batman, is the greatest detective. Christian Bale and Heath Ledger rocked this movie. I remember just the opening scene. Remember, this is a Christopher Nolan movie, guys. When I first saw the movie, you couldn't tell who Joker was the entire time, and I thought it was beautiful. Beautiful. You know whose money you're stealing from? You guys are dead. What do you believe in? I believe isn't to kill you makes you stranger. It's a psychological action thriller testing Batman. Now, there's only one line in the entire movie I don't like, and I could get hate for this. Is you either see yourself night at you. I don't like that line.
You're gonna have to put subtitles because I didn't hear it either.
you either die a hero or live
Or you
long
see-
enough to see yourself become a villain.
Yeah.
Wow, my Batman voice sucks if JP couldn't understand me, or at least my Christian Bale Batman voice.
It was just too low, bro.
It's okay. But I still one line I don't like. I understand. But besides that, it's greatly crafted. The choices, the moral codes, the agent of chaos.
Yeah. With just one thing, bro. Like one of the along that, I think you're probably maybe thinking about the hospital scene when he's talking to Harvey Dent. But one of the coolest scenes, okay, it's not okay. People are gonna think this really wrong. They're gonna take it wrong. But it's like he improv that scene when he walked out of the hospital, and he was just like pushing the button, and he's walking out like the Joker.
Yeah.
And then finally explodes. He's like, oh, okay. It was all improv.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. I think it's a very good iteration of Batman. I thought it was a really good story. Alfred teaches us so many good things. And I will work on my Batman Christian Bale voice, even though that's not my preferred Batman voice. But your number 3
Is your number 1?
my number 1. It's Avengers Endgame. I saw Soups the other day rewatch the last trailer they had for the film, and I just kept thinking, Take me back there. Take me back to that experience.
Hmm.
Rewatching.
Honestly, they could switch. You're gonna be really mad at my number one.
Well, I'll
But
get there. I'll get there. But
let's talk about Endgame first.
yeah, Endgame. A 10-year, 11-year journey with the foundational superheroes of the MCU. We are left with the original six plus some awesome heroes. And we go on this time travel journey, the most epic moments of the MCU, with a messed up version of Thanos and Thor.
And Thor. But I feel him.
Yeah, we feel them. But we get peak Captain America, we get peak Tony Stark, and we get peak Thor. We don't get peak Hulk except for the gauntlet scene. But then you all know what we're about to say. We're all at the edge of our seats. We're crying. We think Captain America is going to die. And then it's on your left. All the portals start opening up. Here comes Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa. Here comes Doctor Strange. Here comes Spider-Man.
Oof.
And
I'm just remembering everything. All the emotions are flooding.
it's Avengers Endgame. Rewatch it. Love it. It's a very sacred movie to us. I do not like that it's JP's number 3, but I can respect it. It's my number 1. And we're all anticipating what your number 1 is.
You're gonna be so bad. But I hope you will understand. Number 1. X-Men Days of Future Past.
Oh,
That's not the reaction I wanted, but okay.
Days of Future Past is the end game of the X-Men from the Fox universe, and it's an amazing movie. Don't get me wrong. I love Days of Future Past. Wolverine, Hugh Jackman, but it's not better than Endgame. Plus,
I'm telling you, this is so hard.
Wolverine with bone claws. Ooh. But it's a great movie. I don't want anyone to take that away. I gave that movie a 9.
I mean, if I had more time, maybe I could switch this more around. You're making me go back. But okay.
Why is it your number 1? Just tell everybody why it's your number 1. I told you I think it's an amazing movie and I think it's not a bad choice, but I did not expect it to be your number 1.
So funny thing, all these movies deal with time travel, you know? So it's more of like I mean, this will happen in the Marvel universe eventually with Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars. So I'll explain a little bit, and hopefully you can see where I'm coming from. But like, the movie brings back all the original Patrick Stewart, Professor X, Ian McKellen, Magneto, and that whole group, and just kind of the end of the world. Everybody's like fighting the mutants and everything's dying. And it's all about proving, that mutants can be good, you know? But not only that, the focus of the movie is Wolverine. He's unchanging. And so he's the only I love that the scene where he's like, what if there's someone that can heal as fast as they're being broken down? That's Wolverine, guys. I mean, we miss Wolverine in Endgame. We missed them. We missed X-Men in the MCU, but legal things, whatever. So
I
he goes
don't
back.
want your future. Past my future. Look for yours.
Yeah, yeah. Just Hugh Jackman is a phenomenal Wolverine. Just phenomenal. When you think back in the movie, when he first goes back and it's like the 70s and stuff, and he has to convince Professor X, and he kind of has to be the leader. He has to be that person to tell him, like, look, this is our future. And he's like, I don't know what the heck is wrong with you. Snap out of it. And I mean, the scene will always, I mean, the scenes is very similar to how you felt in Avengers Endgame when everybody came back. I mean, that scene. And then everything around that, like Captain America picking up the Thor's hammer, and I mean, it's a lot of things in that movie and that whole fight scene and stuff. But the the similar scene was as powerful and as emotional as I think is when old Xavier has to talk with no, young Xavier has to talk with old Xavier.
That's really the most human power. Hope.
And that whole scene, though, the words that they exchange, um so powerful. And then like I like movies set in the 70s and 80s. I don't know. Um so then you get to the end and it's like, did we change the future? And then Wolverine wakes up in his present. Obviously we talk about time travel and how that works. And I remember he it's like, oh, he goes up to Jean, he's like, Jean, you're alive. And he's about to touch her. And Cyclops comes out of nowhere. Hey,
Hey,
you know, you
you okay, Logan?
know, and and like, there's no hard feelings between Wolverine and Cyclops. Cyclops just doesn't know what the heck is going on. And he goes up to Charles. And I just love that scene where he's like, well, I'm gonna need to know what happened the past 50 years. And the scene just hits me just thinking about it. He's like, welcome home. Um, so good. I don't know. The more see the audience, feel me. Don't hate on me. There's a lot of good movies. If there was a top 10 with no ordinal, I mean, no way to categorize it from worst to best. There's so many movies that I just feel like it's experience, a feeling, nostalgia, the story, the plot, the flow, everything. It all comes together. There's reasons why we get really good movies sometimes in our lives.
No, like I said, I'm not giving you any hate. I can see why you put it at your number one. I'd probably put it in my top 15, 20. Because I don't have any movie up there with Hugh Jackman or Wolverine. But everything you're saying is great. Storytelling great, concept great. How we have a connection to the X-Men Fox universe, 20th Century Fox. Believe it or not, last week I did use Days of Future Past in my testimony meeting. I did do that. So
Yeah.
I can see what you're saying, but in a lot of ways, I still feel like Endgame is better than Days of Future Past.
Yeah, I think so too. They're both great movies. I think Avengers probably, see, if I had more time, it probably tops it because we just need X-Men in that movie too, but
I wouldn't have cared if it made no sense. Just have Wolverine come out of a portal. Just have Hugh Jackman come out of a portal. We're good. But
so
if the rumors are true, we'll get that in Secret Wars.
yeah. And but we'll also get him in Deadpool 3, so
Well, those are our top five slash bazillion honorable mentions of our favorite superhero movies. Now we do invite you to take that challenge. Take 10 minutes to pick 5 movies, just 5. And believe me, you're gonna get more honorable mentions than figuring out what your top 2, 3, and 4 are.
And then take 30 minutes to really build out the whole list and filter and select. And
So we will be
10 minutes is very difficult.
we will be reporting back to you about another superhero movie this week. We are crossing our fingers for the new character on the big screen, Blue Beetle. And how we got Blue Beetle before we got Batman Beyond will be the greatest question in superhero movie history.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
But we're excited. Jaime Reyes, the Blue Beetle. We'll check it out for sure, and we'll let you know. Maybe we'll give another brutally honest review, or we'll give a really good review. Or maybe it won't be that great, and we won't get a lot of
I think that
views.
should be our tagline. Brutally honest.
Really honest. We've repped the hats today. That means we're serious. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and we will catch you next time.
Bro, who dat?